Attention.
Atención.
Rosetta Stone invites you to be a part of its biggest language learning event in history. Because in 2011, we want to help 3 million people learn a new language. That's why we're going to give you an absolutely free demo of our language immersion technology. Call 1-800-522-1164. Developed to fully immerse you in your new language, the Rosetta Stone solution is easier than ever before. For your free demo, call 1-800-522-1164. 1-800-522-1164.
That's right, everybody. Get ready. The Texas Rattlesnake's ready to stop a mud hole in your ass and open up a can of whoop ass. Remember, our call number is 347-326-9741. We are Cauliflower for the Years. I am Brian the Butcher Brown, joined as always by Nick Frank. What's up, Nick?
Yes, sir. How we doing, Dubs?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing? How's your asshole doing after I opened it up another quarter-inch with my tiny, tiny dick this weekend?
Oh my God, it's a bit gaped still. It's still gaping a little bit, but I'm recovering slowly but surely.
I'm sure it hurts now that your fantasy football season is over, and I just want to say you're welcome. You're welcome.
Not so quick, buddy. I could still win out here. You're just lucky that half my team was injured.
Now stop it. Come on now. I got 20-something points, 25 points out of Marshawn Lynch, who was the genius who pulled that trade off? Me.
Whatever.
I wish you would have played the genius music there. But anyway, regardless, your season's over. I'm returning to the playoffs once again. And there's another guy with us tonight who's probably going to be in the playoffs like he is almost every year. Have you made it every year, Dolo?
No. What's going on, Creepy? Sorry for missing it last week, but I see that carried a lot of validity. Nick Frank's missed 60 shows. I miss one, and Nick bumps me now and gets announced first. It's fucking bullshit.
Johnny,
what have you done for me lately? All I like is that you Niner fans are sitting here bitching at each other, and you're a false 6-1.
7-1.
I'm 7-1.
You're fit to get.
You're gonna get a nice taste of it next week. We'll see who's the pretender.
You bring fucking Alexis Smith down here, dude. Speaking of gapers, I'll fucking plant
one. You can bring it at the Candlestick. We're going to smack you around. Next week.
Only thing those candlesticks are good for is fisting. You guys do to each other in the locker room.
Take it easy over there, Colonel Mustard. What we can hit you with a candlestick right in the keister.
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack better come over and suck this dude. What's up, Pete? I missed you assholes last week.
We didn't miss you too much. I mean, what was the big deal, Dollar, that you couldn't get on the phone for an hour?
Yeah, I was going to hop on, but then I had to do anything other than talk to you. No, I didn't want to work shit going on.
Beauty rest.
Yeah, exactly, man. I had to get my beauty rest. I had to get ready to just continue to shred fantasy and, mentally prepare for this week's show. So I'm fitting to dominate you, fees.
That makes sense. Well, you missed a lot last week. Obviously, we went over this past Saturday's card in very deep depth, right, Nick? I mean, how deep did we go? We picked every fight. You didn't get any points, though. You didn't get any points.
Yeah, that's true. We both went 5 for 5, actually. And right now it's 30-28 to nothing.
Wait, who got 28?
The good thing it didn't count. Amazingly, I didn't do any picks, and I have 28. Dubs has nothing.
Oh, shit. Yeah, basically we blew the card off last week anyway, because you weren't here to pick. And like I explained to Nick, I mean, I've never heard one person in their life say, Jesus Christ, I got to see that Mark Munoz fight. So, we really kind of glazed over it, and we did up the Pro Elite card good.
Oh, nice, nice. I hope you both had Sylvia and Arlovsky.
Absolutely. Of course. We knew Arlovsky was going to resurrect his career eventually. But I guess we should touch on that I guess just the main event, because I think that's all we even touched on last week, which, I don't know, dudes. I was pretty disappointed in the Crippler last week. I don't even know where to begin with it, so I want one of you creeps to start chatting about that fight.
Go ahead, Frank.
Go ahead, Dole.
Yeah, I mean, it was just absolutely ridiculous. Leaving is maddening. Depending on the fight, he can look like a world beater, or, he just doesn't show up. They said he had a really hard time cutting weight, and then an article came out today that he had to cut 22 pounds in 24 hours.
Yeah.
I guess the hard part about cutting weight was remembering to fucking do it. Like, how do you get to that point? Like, I understand, like, sometimes it's hard for these guys to cut weight, and they got to, it's taxing on the body, and they're doing all these other things, and it is what it is. But give me a break. 22 pounds in 24 hours? Like, you knew when the fight was. This was a huge fight. I just don't understand how you get to that point. I don't know if it's injuries or what, that he couldn't train. But, I mean, that's just meat boying it up, dude. He's walking around over 2 bills 2 days before the fight. I mean, and then he comes out, and I knew something was up, obviously. He looked completely lethargic and gassed. And, Munoz looked good. He was typical Munoz. But I was impressed with Munoz as far as once he got leaving down, he throws some violent strikes, dude, from the top. I mean, sometimes I kind of complain about him. He's a lay and pray type guy. I don't know if it was because Levin was maybe just kind of dead weight, so he was able to do what he wanted. But when he had Levin down, he wasn't looking to give short elbows and point him out. I mean, he was dropping some haymakers, dude, that were really lighting Levin up. And then we got a nice little glimpse to see how the Brits like to do some reffing when they called the doctor in and Levin's eye was swollen shut. And he said, I can't see. And then they call the doctor in. Doctor comes in, and he's like, what do you think? And the ref's like, well, if you say you can't see, then, you're not going to be able to fight. What do you want to do? He's like, yeah, I can see.
I can see.
That's insane. It was ridiculous. But overall, the card was okay. I shit all over it, by basically not showing up for the show last week in protest.
That's right, you did.
But I thought the card was okay, but, I mean, it pretty much, summarized the entire card, but the main event. But, you know what, we'll see what happens. People were yelling for Munoz, Sonnen, if Sonnen's not going to get the shot, but I don't see how he doesn't. I was reading articles today that, those two should fight to see who gets Anderson Silva. I don't know what's going to happen, but you know what, Munoz just pretty much does what he does. He brings in the lunch pail and gets, W's. The guy's 12-2. You can't really hate on it.
No, you can't hate on him, but like I said, I'm not really a big fan. I don't get excited for his fights, but I mean, like you pointed out, Levin was sucking wind heading to the octagon. I mean, the bell didn't even go off, and that guy looked tired. And like you said, it came out today that he had to cut all that weight. And obviously Levin's a warrior, and I'm a huge fan and everything, but it looked like that eye opened up like at the beginning of round 3, like they worked on it and everything. I think he was just so gassed and everything that it was just going to be more of the same, and I think he just wanted out, and I hate to say that about the guy, but, I think he gave it a go. He's dropped all that weight. He stepped up, and he definitely was hitting with power. There was a couple times that Munoz definitely felt it, and he knocked him backwards and shit, but obviously Munoz was more conditioned, able to get him to the ground, like you said, in those violent shots. He cut that eye open, and, it was just, he basically could do whatever he wanted, but even with Levin being that fatigued, I really wasn't all that impressed because Levin was able to defend himself pretty well till towards the end of the second round. But, and he was getting back to his feet, and he was still able to throw some strikes. But, I mean, like you said, Munoz is a grinder. He did what he does, and, I don't think that Sonnen should have to fight him to get a title shot. I think Sonnen should have his title shot, but, if that's the fight, that's the fight. But I just can't say I'd be excited about it. But like I said, I'm not Nick Frank, who's a huge Mark Munoz fan.
I wouldn't say I'm a huge Mark Munoz fan, but Chris Levin didn't look very good. He obviously, like you guys said, he looked gassed, and he definitely wanted out of that fight. I don't think there's anybody who saw that didn't think so. He was, in the second round, he was getting roughed up, and he was getting some blood in his eye. Right. And he said it to the door. They were on the cage, and he said to the ref, "I can't see." Yeah. And then the ref went over to him and said he can't see. And then he had the doctor look at it. Levin got his breath back a little bit, and he said, "You told me you can't see. If you tell me you can't see again, I'm going to stop the fight." And he said, "I can see." He was trying to get out of the fight, but then the ref posed the question to him, so where that if he had answered it, "I can't see," it definitely would have looked like he was trying to get out of the fight. So I think it gave him no choice but to respond that way. Right. And then after the second round, he was just, he didn't want to fight anymore. You could see after they cleaned his eye up when they were showing the decision, his eye didn't look all that bad. Obviously, once it got opened back up, it would have gotten back into his line of vision. But, people I think almost going to give him, sort of a mulligan because he's been in so many tough fights and he has taken so much punishment in the past. But he really didn't look good, and Mark Munoz might not always put on the most exciting fights, and he's not a big marquee name, but when he gets you on the ground, he's got some vicious ground and pound. He gets very aggressive when he's got you in a bad position. He obviously was calling out Anderson Silva. I don't think he's got any chance in that fight, but, you know, he did look really good against Lieben. Now, I'm not sure if Lieben made him look that good or if he just came ready to go, but all in all, I really only watched that fight and the Thiago Alves fight. And, you know, I think Munoz did what he was supposed to do against what looked to be a depleted Chris Lieben.
I don't want to be a broken record, boys, but like I said, because contrary to Munoz calling Anderson Silva out, Lieben called basically everyone out before the fight, or I should say basically Joe Silva, the matchmaker, like saying, if I win this fight, I'm the next in line for this shot. I deserve it. I'm the best 185 outside Anderson Silva if I win this fight. So how do you let that happen? I mean, Lieben's a seasoned veteran. He's been here before. He's an older guy. I just don't understand how when you get this opportunity, you let this happen. I mean, at least Nate Marquardt, he shits the bed. He shits the bed in big fights. But the guy comes in shape, and he just kind of falls apart mentally. But I just don't get how that happens. This is a shot that you're headlining a card. You're probably not going to get a shot with that win, but you're going to maybe get, you know, maybe another shot at Brian Stan. Maybe you're going to get a shot at that next in line, that kind of 3-4 matchup at 185 to really see who would fight when the chips kind of fall where they may with Anderson Silva and so on and stuff. It's disappointing. He's got, you know, nobody to blame but himself. But it makes perfect sense. I mean, 30 seconds in, he was gasping there. Yeah, it was crazy.
He was finished. It was really ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Even I was watching the fight with Justine, my fiance, and his entire body was beet red. Yep. He was like, "What's going on with the coloring with this guy?" He looked sick or tired. Yeah. You know, his entire body was red. So I don't know if it was the blood rushing
and dude, all morning on Friday.
Yeah, they could be
just like layers and layers and layers. So that's a lot of time. But to speak to your point, it'd be a lot of time if the soda alone made him red, but, you know, working it all out. His body obviously was just saying, you can come out here, dude, but I'm fucking leaving. And that's got to be a pretty terrifying feeling to be in a ring like that. You know, that's basically like putting me in a ring. You know what I mean? Like, for a fighter, it's got to be terrifying because you're just like in slow motion or quicksand, and you have this dude who's looking to kill you. That's got to be a pretty terrifying feeling to be in there. You're just basically waiting to get killed.
Absolutely, and I don't know what was going on, why he wasn't in shape for that fight, but I don't know. I do have to say that I disagree with you, Nick. I don't think Munoz looked all that impressive, even with a depleted Lieben. I think Munoz has looked a lot better than that, and I think he should have been able to just completely control Chris and really just beat the shit out of him on the ground. And Chris kept locking him up, and you know, yeah, he got that big cut over his eye, but it really wasn't even that severe. It was just a way for him to get out of the fight, and I'm glad. I appreciate you saying the same thing because I didn't want to feel like I was just attacking Chris Lieben, but I think he needed out, and it's because, like Mike said, his body gave up on him. He couldn't do anything to make it go anymore, and that was it. They had to throw the towel in.
Munoz is crafty too, dude. I mean, every fight he's in, he never lets, you know, kind of the moment or emotion get involved. He's very calculated. He always seems to go in with a great game plan. A lot of guys in the sport say and go and train with him that he's an excellent, you know, kind of strategist and game planner, and obviously a great guy to kind of go and work your wrestling out with. But to where, yeah, I didn't think he looked like a world beater, and Lieben was gassed, but Lieben's crafty. Lieben has good jits, and, you know, maybe the dead weight is hard to move around. No excuse. True. You know, I think Munoz maybe should have been able to finish him, but that's not really his game. So if he went after him, and it would kind of be like a Czech Congo thing where you're going into a wounded animal, and anybody knows that Lieben can put anybody out with your hand. So maybe he was just being calculated. I don't want to make excuses for Munoz because I'm not beating down the door to go see him in, you know, main event and pay-per-view against Anderson Silva. I don't think he's like that as far as, you know, selling tickets and stuff, but he always seems to have a head on his shoulders, and to where he wasn't too impressive, he came out and performed as he always does, and, you know, we always joke, and Franco and I joked, you know, card we didn't pick him last time. We always douche on this dude, and he just does nothing but win. He does nothing but put in work, and he's not the sexiest guy in the world, and, you know, we all know how Franco feels about the Pacific Rim and his geography. You know, they're basically all the same, but, yeah, you know what, dude, it is what it is. Broken record, just another dub for Munoz.
Oh yeah, man. You know, I mean, like you said, you got to give him credit where credit's due. Again, I'm not a big fan, and like you said, he's not all that sexy. So
yeah, you don't have to like it. You know, I'm in the same boat. I don't like it, but real recognizing real.
I don't care who he's fighting next. I'm going to pick against him. Just going to do it, just out of spite now because he beat my boy Lee.
It's the law of averages. He's bound to lose. If he's going to finish, apparently he's going to finish 102.
But, well, I guess that's really all. I mean, there was a couple of decent fights on that card though, like the Terry Adam fight. Like he showed up, but really these aren't names that anybody knew. That's why we glazed over the card. And I know there's a huge event happening this Saturday, which is taking place on Fox 5, a network, for the first time ever. UFC on Fox 5. You boys excited for this?
Extremely, fully erect.
All right.
Which means 2 inches.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge weekend for the UFC, make or break, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait. I know I'm stoked. I was all confused about it. I thought there was a full fight card on there, and Franco was arguing with me via text message all day. And I was going, no, dude, there's a full fight card. And then he just fired back with the same thing that we said last week. There's a bunch of no-names on this card anyway, so who gives a shit? But obviously, the main event, which is going to be aired on Fox at 9 p.m., it's Cain Velasquez defending his title against Junior Dos Santos. Both these guys are phenomenal heavyweights. Cain Velasquez is undefeated. He won the title against Brock Lesnar, really put a major beat down on Brock Lesnar. Everybody, I know I'm a fan of Lesnar, I know you guys are, and most people who are fans of Brock really felt that he was pretty tough to beat. We knew his stand-up was questionable, but if he could get a hold of you, he had the strength, size, power, and wrestling to hold you down. But that didn't work in his fight against Cain. He obviously, Cain was able to get back to his feet and make him pay for it on the feet. And Brock was supposed to fight Junior Dos Santos to potentially get a rematch against Cain, but he got sick. Junior Dos Santos ended up going up against Shane Carwin. He beat up Shane Carwin, and, well, this is where we are now. Junior Dos Santos is stepping in to fight Cain Velasquez. And, Franco, I want to know, how do you see this fight going, and really, what are your thoughts on this big event, really?
Well, obviously, like you alluded to, this is a big weekend for the UFC finally going mainstream. You've been seeing the commercials on the NFL Sundays for Fox, and they're putting a lot of time into it. They did the prime time special on Fox that was actually, I thought it was well produced, and it was sort of riveting. So I think, Dana White's been spending a lot of time on this. He's come out and said that he put these two guys together because he thinks no matter whether the fight is 30 seconds or 5 full rounds, that it's going to be an exciting fight. These are heavyweights. They're not your boxing heavyweights who are going to gas. These guys are in shape. They're both aggressive. Obviously, Cain Velasquez being the champion, 9-0 with 8 knockouts. He's won 7 straight in the UFC. Only 29 years old, training, out of AK out there in California. His only decision win was against Czech Congo. He's finished everyone else. He hasn't fought, though, since last October, which I think may become a factor in this fight. 13 months without a fight, fighting at the highest level. I'm not sure what sort of effect that's going to have on him. But he's good everywhere. He's a great striker. He's an awesome wrestler. We haven't seen his jiu-jitsu game too much, but, his wrestling has been so dominant that he really hasn't had to use it. Obviously, hard worker, great stamina, never gets out to finish fights when his opponent's ready to be finished. And then he's beaten Czech Congo, Nogueira, Brock Lesnar. Just overall, probably the consensus #1 heavyweight in the world. Obviously fighting Junior Dos Santos, who's 13-1 with 8 knockouts. Also 7 straight wins in the UFC. He's a little bit bigger. He's about 3 inches taller than Cain. They're about the same weight. He's got some big wins too. Stefan Struve, Gabe Gonzaga, Big Country, Shane Carwin, Crow Cop. So he's been around in the UFC for about 3 years, but he's pretty much his first fight was Fabricio Verdum, and he's pretty much fought top 15 heavyweights ever since then. Never fought an elite wrestler though, and I think that really is going to be the difference in this fight. I think these are the 2 best heavyweights in the world, and this is a really tough fight to pick a winner for. But the fact that I've never seen him deal with a wrestler like Cain is, and the fact that Cain can also do everything else, either just as good, if not better, than Dos Santos. So I think Cain will be able to gain his respect on the feet, and sort of dictate the pace of the fight. Get a couple takedowns when he needs to get them en route to, I'd say, a third-round technical knockout for Cain. I think Cain's going to wear him down a little bit, get him down to the ground. He's going to finish him on the ground in the third round.
Wow, that's pretty ballsy. I don't know. This fight, I don't know if I've said this before, but it's got the air of kind of like a Joe Frazier versus Muhammad Ali. I don't know if that was me saying that or Dana White, but that's how big this fight is. That's how big.
Is your uncle Rupert Murdoch? Do you work for Fox?
I wish, man. I wish, because then, you know what, I wouldn't be having internet problems right now. But anyway, that's besides the point. You know, I definitely. It's a tough fight to pick. I got to agree with Franco on the fact that Dos Santos hasn't fought an elite level wrestler. You know, so we don't know how he can handle those things. I know his one loss that he's had on his career, I believe, was due to a submission. So, you know, I don't know who he fought in that fight. I can't remember who it was to. It was early in his career. So, you know, perhaps he has problems with high-level grapplers. Obviously, he hasn't had a problem since, but maybe there hasn't been somebody with such grappling ability to actually get him to the ground. But with that said, I don't know if I can pick Cain to win this fight with a knockout or a technical knockout. And obviously, I don't see him subbing Dos Santos. I do see Cain Velasquez pulling out this win. I think it's going to stay on the feet. You know, when it does go to the ground, I think Dos Santos is basically just going to be scrambling to defend himself to not get the balls knocked off of him down there. But you know, Dos Santos took some very heavy shots from Big Country in their fight. You know, he definitely had the better of Roy in that fight, but Roy delivered some real hard blows to him and definitely made him back up. But I think he's a tough dude to knock out. And we obviously seen in the Czech Congo fight that Cain Velasquez is a tough guy to knock out. But, you know, so I can't see this fight ending in that respect. So I'm going to say Cain Velasquez wins a unanimous decision, and that's totally based on the fact that he's got the wrestling game. I think the stand-up game is pretty much a wash. I don't see either guy having a major advantage there. If I have to give a slight advantage, it's to Dos Santos, but the wrestling game is what's going to even it out and eventually push Cain to the win, and he's going to retain his title.
Interesting. Yeah, I would have to say I feel not supremely confident. I'm pretty confident that Cain Velasquez is going to win. If he was not coming off of a 13-month layoff, I would say that, you know, he would probably handle Dos Santos. Not that I don't think Dos Santos is an elite level. I think Dos Santos is great. Everybody says he has the best boxing in the heavyweight division. I just think Velasquez is a machine, dude. That guy is honestly terrifying. I think he was put on this earth to do what he's doing right now. And then when you add the video game character, you know, Brown Pride tattoo across his chest, like I saw a picture of him wrestling at Arizona State in his singlet, and he had that. Could you imagine wrestling at Arizona State or wrestling in college, and you see just this motherfucker standing there with Brown Pride? I would be thanking God I was wrestling him, not fighting him. I think his wrestling is elite level. Brock Lesnar bulldozed him, ran across the cage, dove at him, tore his rotator cuff in the process, and he kind of shucked him off, he got taken down, and then he popped right back up. And, I mean, nobody had really done that with Brock before. He has that killer instinct. They talk about when he was coming up that he went right from Arizona State, Velasquez did, to AKA, and for the beginning, he had like 4 or 5 fights set up, and just people, I think the furthest someone got was the weigh-in. And then eventually they just backed out. They couldn't get him a fight, and they kept saying this kid was destined for greatness. All the guys over in AKA, the trainers, and they have Koscheck, they have Fitch, they have Mike Swick, they have a lot of elite-level dudes, and they all said this guy was the best fighter they had ever seen in their lives. I think his striking's at a different level. I think, you know, we'll see. Let's see what the quality of Nogueira's black belt is, because Dos Santos is a black belt under Nogueira, and I personally think you can get those out of a box of Fruit Loops. But maybe he'll prove me wrong this weekend. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think they're going to stand and bang. I think JDS doesn't shy away from that. I mean, he got brought in on late notice and basically got handed to Verdum. They were pretty much propping Verdum up to basically go up for a title in the heavyweight division. This was right before the heavyweight division really exploded with talent. it was there, but it wasn't quite there. They were basically just giving him this guy that they figured, all right, he's out of Nogueira's camp. We'll just have Verdum beast him. He's probably a jits guy. And he threw one of the most disgusting uppercuts I've ever seen, and then it sent Verdum out of the UFC. And then we've all seen what's happened from there. So definitely a game fighter. Huge weekend for the UFC. I think they couldn't have done a better job by picking these two guys to fight. The fact that this fight is for free is insane, to be perfectly honest. And you know they're going to hype it. They're only having this fight on the card and all that other stuff. I think that Velasquez is probably going to finish him, I would say second or third. I would say second round.
Wow.
I think Dos Santos is going to taste the power. I think he's going to go down. I think basically Velasquez is going to be just a spider monkey, just sliding all over to every which way, going for different strikes and whatnot. And I think JDS will eventually scramble and realize that he can't pull guard. He'll get up and he'll get caught. So I got Velasquez third round knockout as well. I liked them all along. I'm a little worried about the layoff, but this kid is such a conditioned athlete, and they said they had to keep him out of the gym.
Looked like he had titties.
What's that?
He looked like he had titties last time when he stepped up to the cage.
Yeah.
Say hello,
you know what, dude? Corn-fed titties, and Dos Santos is going to be well-fed.
Solo, you got second round or third round?
I got third round. I was thinking second, but I don't like to pigeonhole myself and say, why not take it in the third as opposed to the second? And it's a 5-round fight. I think it's going to be good. But yeah, I got him going in the third round, and it's going to be awesome, dude. I can't wait.
I can't believe
you had mentioned about Dos Santos' debut. I'd seen Ed Soares was his manager. Ed Soares had to sort of talk his way into the UFC. The UFC wasn't very interested in Dos Santos, and Soares went to them and said, I got this kid. He's really going to be good, yada, yada, yada. And I guess then Soares had some sort of pull within the UFC at that point. They sort of took JDS in just sort of on Ed Soares' word. And obviously we all know what happened in the Fabricio-Verdum fight. But, he let go. Just to speak about Ed Soares, Dos Santos fired him, and he's with new management now. And did you guys see what Anderson Silva was saying about Ed Soares recently?
Yeah, he's not too happy, dude.
No, I don't think it's a coincidence that Dos Santos has dropped him recently. Anderson Silva came out on Brazilian television. They were interviewing him and asking him about Ed Soares and asking him about Chael Sonnen. And Anderson, the gist of it was basically, Ed Soares doesn't have the right to speak for me. I never said I didn't want that Chael Sonnen fight. He's walking around, he's acting like I'm ducking that fight when in reality, I never said that I didn't want the fight. He needs to do his job. He said he's not Brazilian, he's American. He may speak Portuguese, but when it comes down to it, he's an American. He works for me. He doesn't have the right to speak for me, and I have no loyalty to him. I have no contract with him. The only people I have contracts with are to the UFC and to my sponsors, so there's no guarantee that he's going to be with me in the future, yada, yada, yada. I thought it was sort of really interesting that Silva kind of came out against him.
Yeah, I saw that too, Nick, and it seemed like, not that he felt taken advantage of, because that's not the case, but it's got to be a sore subject and a really rough thing because Anderson really doesn't speak English, obviously. He has a few words. I don't know his level of comprehension as far as understanding the language, but that's what he basically said, that the only value Soares has is that he speaks Portuguese and English. But he feels like Soares takes kind of, he gets caught up in the emotion, and like he's vested, and he kind of takes a liberty with some of this stuff, and that's exactly what he said. He doesn't have the right to speak for me, and it seems like sometimes, like people are interviewing Soares by himself. And it's like, who is this dude? I don't give a fuck about Ed Soares.
Exactly.
Anderson Silva's sitting next to him, and he's going to translate. I don't care what Ed Soares' opinion is.
Exactly. Chael Sonnen came out and he said, Ed Soares has made more money than all of these fighters that he represents, and I've never seen them shut the cage door behind him. So these guys need to smarten up a little bit.
We'll see, man. Yeah, maybe Dos Santos kind of got the jump on all these people, and maybe it'll be a parade walking out. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding, but it's just so tough, man, when these guys put their livelihoods and they at stake in someone else's hands, and you want to think the best, and maybe the intentions were the best in the beginning. I'm not saying they're not now, but it's easy to get caught up in this, and it's easy to want to hold on to the gravy train. So you may be holding certain information and things like that. And I'll parlay it into another conversation and stay in the heavyweight division because we all know what's on the back end with Lesnar and Overeem. And Overeem has recently left Golden Glory, and it kind of coincided or correlated with him signing with the UFC. But Golden Glory, who the UFC has historically said they will not deal with any of their fighters because Golden Glory is a promotion that makes the UFC and Strikeforce, whoever, pay them, and then they give the people their money as if, it's an allowance or something like that. And Overeem came out and said that it came to his attention when he got his independent lawyer for the UFC contract that not only in this contract that Golden Glory was trying to get with the UFC, but in past contracts, they were just basically being dishonest. They weren't disclosing all information, and they were making more money than he was on his fight. So it's tough for these guys to kind of let go, but they may either believe the hype, they may be a kid from the ghetto. I don't know, but, it's not really a language thing with Overeem, but, they put their faith in these guys, and when you get big, it's easy for everyone to get caught up in the hype, and they say, you were with me from the beginning, but at the end of the day, money does weird shit to people, man, and it's just tough to put your livelihood in there when you're locked in a cage and you have a small window to make money, but Overeem has left Golden Glory, as we all know, but he's recently, at least for this fight, for Brock, signed up with Extreme Couture, so he's going to be training out of Vegas, and I don't know how Brock feels about that, being that him and Randy are boys.
Well, I'm sure Brock's not entirely happy with it, but it makes sense. I mean, Overeem, he's got to hook up somewhere, and I think most people who need to work on their wrestling game, which obviously Overeem does, especially for this fight, why wouldn't he hook up with Couture at Extreme Couture? Hello?
Yeah,
We'll
see, man. But, even if we were forward-thinking, I mean, Nick and I think Velasquez is going to win this fight, and we can talk in the future. We can talk now, who we think is going to win the Brock Overeem fight. But if Overeem goes in against Cain Velasquez, I think he will just get the balls beaten off of him. Look what he did with Verdum. Verdum was getting the better striking with him. And Verdum's good jits, but Verdum's not that great of a wrestler as far as we know. And I think Velasquez would destroy Overeem if Brock doesn't.
I agree with you there. Well, I'm hoping Brock destroys Overeem, but yeah, I
You and I hate Overeem, though. Nick, what do you think? Because I know Dubs and I are partial.
Yeah, I obviously think I'm rooting for Lesnar. I think that he can go in there and take him down and pound him out. Take him down, pound him out.
Pound him out.
But I think, obviously,
maybe he'll train with
every Brock Lesnar fight now, after his last two fights, if he gets popped good by Overeem, the fight's over. If he gets hit square with, whether it be with a knee on a shot, a big standing strike, he's done for because he's going to turtle up. His technique goes out the window. He doesn't like, whether it's a physical thing, whether it's a mental thing. When he gets popped really good, he becomes a different fighter. So I honestly think that Lesnar is going to come out and throw a couple big punches to get Overeem on the defense and then shoot on him. I don't think he's going to run right out and shoot on him because Overeem's going to be expecting that. People say that either have trained with him or that have sparred with him, that Brock Lesnar has the hardest strikes that they've ever felt or seen. He just doesn't have the technique or the confidence in his striking. But if he throws one of those big straight rights and they land, I think his game plan should be to get a little bit of respect on the feet and then take him down. And then once he has Overeem on his back, I think that Overeem probably gasses out. I think Lesnar finishes him in the second. I think Lesnar takes top control in the first, completely gasses Overeem out, and then finishes him in the second.
And what do you do if you're Overeem, dude, and you're coming out and you're trying to keep it on the feet as a K1 champion, and Brock all of a sudden starts beasting you on the feet and breaks your orbital bone like we saw him do against Heath Herring, and then he's going to lay on you and be 280 pounds laying on you and being a D1 wrestler.
Heath Herring.
I think Overeem's got the mentality. I think he thinks that he's big enough and strong enough to bully Brock and to keep Brock from taking him down, and I don't think he realizes. I still think that he thinks he's the bigger, stronger guy, and I don't think that he is. So I think that, similar to what I said about Brock, I think his game plan is going to go out the window once he feels how big and strong Brock is, because he, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, Overeem has always been the bigger, stronger guy, and I still think his ego tells him that he's going to be stronger than Brock, but I don't think it's going to be close.
Did you see that poster, dude? Like, they put out the first poster for that fucking fight on New Year's Eve. They did it perfectly. Whoever is running the marketing for the UFC, they just basically, it's as if they got arrested, and it looks like you need to have this poster on a bus to make it fit in, because, it just has, the height and the inches behind them, and it just is Brock Lesnar standing there shirtless, and it says, Brock, it says Lesnar 6'3", 265, and then it says Overeem 6'5", 265, and they're both standing there. It's disgusting to see these two dudes. And it's like in the old WWF days when they're like, they're going to have to reinforce the ring for this one. Like, I honestly think they're going to have to fucking do something, because if they bum rush against the cage, I don't see how they don't go out. They are huge, so it's going to be awesome to see him in there. And I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see if this Overeem shit was needles, or he just happened to, hit puberty at 28 and put on 100 pounds of muscle. But he just loves to, when he won that Verdun fight, that's what all that muscle will do, baby.
I think if Brock wins that fight, I think that's definitely another Fox. That's another. I think it's going to be another Fox card. Then if you can get Brock Lesnar on Fox, then I think it's huge, because he brings that crossover audience that they're looking for anyway. And I'm hoping that this card on Fox does well. But if you get like a marquee name like him and he's on regular TV, then it truly becomes like a national event. So I'm hoping that if he wins, they put that next title fight on Fox.
Yeah, and we'll see. Like Dubs had alluded to earlier, that like we were hoping it was on Fuel TV or it was a full card or what. They've come out and said that this is a teaser, so to speak. The UFC on Fox is not until 2012, because I want them to have full cards, or even if it's like the fight nights or whatever. I mean, because this is kind of tough.
Yeah, even 4 fights.
Talk about it today. Facebook fights are on at 6. And if you can't get home or you can't see that, there's no DVR in this shit, dude. You miss the fights. And there are some good fights on there, and we'll talk about Guida Henderson. But I was hoping at least those, Guida Henderson will be on there too. Obviously the template will change. I think this is going to kind of get us all salivating, and hopefully in 2012 they put the full template out. But I was a little disappointed to see that that's how it's going to be, that I have to be home to watch it on Facebook. And, my future wife might forget to, unlock my cage or fill the water dish, dude. If I can't get to the computer, I'm fucked.
Yeah, I was disappointed by that, too. I was hoping it was a full card. But, maybe they're just dipping their toe in right now, because I'm pretty sure when they signed the Fox deal, Dana said something like they were just going to do, like, a fight night to begin with, but eventually they were going to have full events, if I recall, when that all went down. So this was just kind of shoehorned in there because they knew they had a huge fight, and they figured this could do a lot of numbers to be the first fight to actually be broadcast. So I think they just threw it in there. And
like Nick running against Pacquiao, the Pacquiao fight on pay-per-view.
Right. It's good. That's great, man, because the Pacquiao fight, this is, it's 9-10, the Pacquiao fight's after that, and I'll steal the Pacquiao fight on the internet, and it'll be awesome. My night's made.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a whole night that you could really fit in everything. So it works out.
I'll tell you what, if I keep ignoring my girlfriend every Saturday night, this wedding's going to be off soon. Every Saturday night I got like a fight or something that I want to watch, and she's like probably fucking cursing me in the bedroom.
Well, I love that, dude, because it's just completely non-negotiable. For me, I'm in the river baptizing babies. My girlfriend's got me reshingling her mailman's roof, and I'm doing all this shit. Like, it's non-negotiable. Like, Franco straight puts the hand up, and he's actually asked her to, like, keep it down because she could take the dog downstairs because he needs to get his fucking fight on. Like, it is non-negotiable.
That's all I got, dude. I need
Franco on fight night. He's home, and that's it. And I'm sitting there like, dude, what's going on? How's it going? And he's just like, I don't know, dude, get a sack. Watch it yourself.
I'm not telling you.
Oh, my God. That's all I got. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't gamble. I watch fucking UFC.
Exactly. I think that's it. You just sit down and Franco.
Yeah, one vice. It's like Kingpin. All right, 2 vices. That's still very good.
I give you a hint. It's round. It's got 3 holes, and you put your fingers in it. Hey, you leave Rebecca out of this.
I don't want to be the one to tell him with those narrow hips, she couldn't have more than 6 or 7 children.
Oh, shit.
All right, Franco, you want to do the commercial for these filthy motherfuckers, or you want to talk about the Guida Endo fight?
Yeah, I'm going to go...
how's that for an interlude?
Yeah, I got the commercial right here. For the X-Log, it's a great blogging website. I'm hearing that there's some rumblings going on. There's going to be a big announcement coming from the people at Roto Experts pretty soon. So
really?
Take a listen to this.
A new era has dawned in blogging. Log on to thexlog.com and experience new standards and quality in commentary and analysis. Powered by RotoExperts.com, the Xlog.com brings together the top expert bloggers with all the very best the Internet has to offer. You don't have to search for the most compelling and entertaining posts and writers anymore. They will be at your one central hub for high quality. So join us as a new revolution begins in sports and entertainment, only at the Xlog.com. That's THEXLOG.com.
The Xlog.com. Franco, you write on that thing every once in a while, right?
Yeah, I try. Maybe about once a month I try to put something in there.
You're a
Michael,
saint.
what's this announcement, dude? Should I go quit my job?
Yeah. No, it's got nothing to do with us.
Oh, that's always the way. Nothing has to do with us. It's terrible. Nobody. Oh, whatever. All right. Well, anyway. Well, I guess we'll just forget about the announcement. We'll just we'll talk about UFC on Fox and the Ben Henderson versus Clay Guida, the Carpenter Clay Guida. Obviously, Clay Guida felt he should have a title shot in line, but Ben Henderson beat the shit out of Jim Miller, so definitely made a case for himself that he should be in line for a lightweight title shot as well. So what better thing to do than make these two guys fight at the, well, not really on Fox, but part of the Fox card. And
On Facebook.
On Facebook. It's the main event on Facebook, people. No good? Yeah, no, I'm probably going to miss it, too. I know I'm probably going to miss it, too. And you guys will have to fill me in. But, Noah, what's your feelings? How do you think this fight's going to go down?
I think my boy, Ben Henderson is going to beat Guida. Now, I say that with an asterisk next to it because I would put Guida in the category with Mark Munoz, to where I just consistently and constantly disrespect this greasy-haired bastard. And he does nothing but dry hump people to victory. The fun thing was, I mean, we were all loving, Jimmy Miller. He looked awesome, and he was pretty much, in that cursed spot for all UFC fighters of pretty much just waiting on a title shot. It's pretty much yours. You can take a fight. You don't have to. And they all seem to take a fight after Rashad got douched by Dana, on the one time Dana ran his mouth. And they all seem to take fights now, and it hasn't been working out very well for people. And Henderson looked amazing in that fight, and you could see, it was on Versus, and you could see they interviewed Guida after. Guida wanted nothing to do with this fight. He was basically saying, yeah, Henderson looked really good. I think he's a good fighter, but I think I earned my shot. I think by laying on Anthony Pettis, that warrants the title shot. And he was terrified of this. And Guida's going to go in and fight. There's no two ways about it. I'm breaking balls for someone. But he definitely, notice was served to the light heavyweight division. The lightweight division that night. That Ben Henderson is for real, and I don't think too many guys want to fight him. And I just think he's going to be too dynamic and too much. Guida's a hell of a fighter, hell of a chin. I mean, the kick that Diego Sanchez landed on him pretty much puts him in the category with the Frankie Edgar, in my opinion, of I don't know if this guy has a button. Henderson's going to test that. I mean, both really good wrestlers. I just think Henderson's too versatile in the striking game, and the wrestling's probably pretty even. And Henderson is a considerably bigger lightweight. So I just think all those things adding up is going to be too much. I will never disrespect Guida's will. The guy is an absolute cardio monster, and again, it's like you got to hit him with a sledgehammer to finish him. I think Henderson actually will be the guy to finish him. I would say, why don't we say third round TKO?
I don't believe that. And I'll tell you why. Obviously, I'm going to agree with you about Ben Henderson beating Clay Guida. Again, like you said, we all sit there and doubt this guy, but he does go in there, he does grind it out, and he has shown that he can finish fights as well. Of course, he laid all over Anthony Pettis to put him in the position he's in right now, but like you brought up the Diego Sanchez fight, and Diego met him with the same amount of energy and everything, and definitely had the better striking. He's definitely showed he had a chin, but Ben Henderson has that same kind of energy, and he's a way better fighter than Diego Sanchez could ever hope to be. So I think that's
that's aggressive, dude.
That's real aggressive, and I mean
never hope to be. This is me laying in my room at night hoping, dude. Like Diego Sanchez is a pretty good fighter.
Hoping, thinking, wishing, and praying. Okay, he ain't ever gonna be what.
All the ingredients of a big bowl of cry soup.
A delicious cry soup, which I know I'm not eating Franco's eating it this week, but, you know, that's not what we're talking about right now.
Look at the fantasy jab. What a scumbag. Couldn't even help himself.
I couldn't.
He's got to work one in. It has been 6 years since he's beaten me in anything.
Yeah, dude, that was actually a long time, dude. I can't believe you lasted 40 minutes without saying anything else. Because the game was over by the time we got on. Dub's up 1 point. You would have thought he was up 7 million.
It's unbelievable, too.
I've got 2 guys going tonight, Dolo, so I could be up 7 million at this point, all right?
Fair.
So, you know, it makes it a little bit easier to take, but, you know, either way, it's a win's a win. Well, basically what I'm trying to say is Henderson is a better fighter than Diego Sanchez, brings the same energy, has some real good striking skills, has some great submission skills, and really good wrestling as well. So it all just spelled a disaster for Clay Guida. That's why he definitely was stepping up trying to say, no, I earned that title shot and was trying to sidestep this fight. If he beats Henderson, I'll shit myself because I just can't see it happening in any way, shape, or form. I think Henderson finishes him in the second round submission. I think he's going to get wear him down throughout the first round and some of the second round, and he's just going to take Guida down and keep pounding him out. He's going to give up his back, and Henderson's going to choke him out.
All right, Dolo, who'd you pick real quick before I give you my analysis?
I got Henderson by third-round TKO.
Okay. All right, so this is an exciting fight. I think both guys are really active in the cage. They both work. Sometimes people say Guida could be boring. He does have 40 fights total. He's got 15 submission wins. This is going to be his 15th fight in the UFC. It's a relatively small lightweight. He's only 5'7". He could probably make 145 if he wanted to. So I think people are getting a little overboard with Clay Guida. He's got 4 straight wins, but if you look at it's Shannon Gugurdi, Rafael Dos Anjos, Takanori Gomi, and Pettis. If you take away Pettis, I mean, Pettis is the only guy there that's sort of a contender. Before those fights, he lost 2 straight to Diego Sanchez and Kenny Florian. So, he really hasn't done all that well, as of late. But, he did look good against Gomi and Pettis.
That was a poor man's Gomi, Nick.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And, I think
I don't think you're advocating, I know.
He's had mixed success against some of the top-level guys. Ben Henderson's 14-2. He's only 27. He's a bigger lightweight. He's fought Jamie Varner. He's beaten Donald Cerrone twice, Shane Roller. Jim Miller in the last fight, he looked awesome against Jim Miller. He dominated pretty much everywhere the fight went. Obviously, the winner of this probably getting a title shot. And I just think at this point in their careers, Henderson's too much. He's too big. He's too strong. And I got Ben Henderson by unanimous decision.
Look at Franco getting that dig back in with Cerrone. Just to toss it in Dobbs for the fantasy. I love it.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
The ginger snap. Oh, snap, Jimmy Miller.
You see Cerrone's fighting Nate Diaz in December, right? Right, Dolo?
I did, man. Are you kidding me, dude? I got 3 new pairs of shorts on because of it. I'm just ruining things.
So do I, but I mean now I'm in a bit of a pickle. 2 of my favorite lightweights out there. What am I going to do now? Who do I go?
I'd say deep throat that pickle.
All right.
Let's put it on Fox before the fight.
Well, there you go. That's the solution.
Whip cream that thing up, dude. Bossa queen.
Did you guys see BJ sort of already going back on the retirement talking about he's just going to take some time off and if something exciting. Me and Dubs talked about it last week. But, just like we said, if he gets an exciting fight, if he takes a little time off, he'll come back and he'll take the fight. So I think it was more of an emotional retirement after the ass beating that he took. But it looks like he'll be hanging around. And I'd say within the next 18 months, probably taking a fight.
If you guys give me Hughes, I'll fight again. There's a big Matt Hughes out here. I'm good.
Let him fight Jen Pulver again.
Let's have him fight Hughes and Pulver at once.
He wins. I'll take BJ in that fight easy. Definitely.
I say we do it old school.
I know, Dubs, I know you like all those secondary MMA shows. I wanted to let you know that on New Year's Eve, the Dream Promotion out in Japan is running a 9-hour show that's going to air live. So you might want to check your calendar for that one. All right. There's going to be some boxing. There's going to be some boxing mixed in. There's going to be some professional wrestling, some kickboxing. I think a show tune or so, and I think they're going to really give you your money's worth during 9 hours of action.
What time are the donkey punches, dude? What weight class is that? Fucking all over
the bull. Phantom weight.
Yeah, seriously, dude. Let's bring it to some serious bull mail, though. Let's bring it to Carlos Condit, Josh Koscheck fighting on the exact same card as GSP, Nick Diaz, and I'll ask both of you effers right now. Franco, who you got and why?
Probably Condit. I think it's sort of a ballsy fight for him to take because he doesn't have a whole lot to gain from it because Koscheck's already gotten beaten by GSP twice. So I think if he wins the fight, he's obviously going to be next in line for the title shot. Maybe he feels confident enough to take the fight, and Koscheck sort of goaded him into it. And sort of also a weird fight for Koscheck. I don't think, maybe Koscheck's hoping that Diaz wins the fight and Koscheck can get back in the mix, but he's not getting a shot at St. Pierre anytime soon. But if Koscheck wins the fight, it's going to be a really boring fight because he's going to lay and pray him. But I'm going to take Carlos Condit just because I like him a lot better, and I think he's got infinite amount of ways to win the fight, whereas Koscheck really only has either a big punch or a lay and pray victory, or his only shots.
Yeah, no, I definitely think Condit is going to win that fight, but I'm hoping and praying he wins that fight because, I don't want to see Koscheck fight for the title, especially like you said, if GSP does beat Nick Diaz. Which,
they won't do it, dude.
No, definitely not. I think Nick Diaz is going to be the guy to take that title. But mark it down now because obviously every time I pick against GSP, it always goes my way, everybody. So, I've probably given the kiss of death to Nick Diaz, but
only the last 5 years.
Yeah, I know. It was probably a mistake. I should have just took GSP, but whatever. I think Nick Diaz is going to win. So yeah, arguably if Koscheck wins, he can ask for that title fight. So I'm hoping Condit wins. I think he's going to win. I just think. Obviously, Koscheck has the better wrestling, but Condit should have the better jiu-jitsu. He's definitely got the killer instinct on the feet. So if he is able to keep it standing, I know Koscheck has good power in that right hand, but I think Condit has the better striking overall. I think he can definitely win it on the feet. So I would go with Carlos Condit, and I think he could definitely knock Koscheck out.
Yeah, there's just so many things with this fight, dude. I mean, huge Condit fan. I think he wins the fight. Koscheck has pretty much displayed that he just is really using the times and the media. I mean, he did it with the Hughes fight. He pretty much announced that Hughes is afraid to take the fight that's already been offered to him, which was a complete fabrication, painted Hughes into a corner. He basically called Condit out and told Condit, in the UFC, he was willing to fight Condit on a week's notice once GSP went out. So he's really good at kind of cornering people and putting people into a tough spot. The only thing that can make sense is Nick's point that he's just banking on and believes that Nick Diaz is going to win because, one, he knows there's no way the UFC gives him a title shot again. Nobody's interested in seeing that. Maybe he figures, I don't think he's this forward-thinking. I'm not giving him that much credit, but maybe he figures he wins, and if GSP wins, it's his boy John Fitch can step in and get a title shot because there's no way you're giving it to Koscheck. Diaz is out of the picture now, and so is Condit. I don't know if it goes to Rory McDonald or what. That's my question, though. Where's John Fitch? I thought he was going to be ready by kind of January, February, so I was hoping to see him fight Condit. I thought that would be the better fight, and I was excited when I heard Koscheck was going to be going for 185 and all this other stuff, and he took the Hughes fight on short notice, and he kind of, created that whole thing. But I'm disappointed to see him back in 170 for another fight. I mean, I just don't understand where it makes sense for him. He will never get a title shot if GSP is holding the belt, and it's not in the cards. I don't know why he wouldn't go to 185 and try to, try his luck and ride a little bit of that wave. But, hopefully it doesn't work out. Hopefully Condit kills him and Nick Diaz wins. And then we get Condit, Nick Diaz, and going to have two strikers. That's a perfect world. We'll see, man. It's going to be interesting. But you know what? The guy is really good at making himself relevant and getting under people's skin and getting himself right into the limelight. So it's going to be interesting to see. We'll see what else happens on that card. It's a hell of a card already just with those two fights alone on Super Bowl weekend. And I'm sure Franco won't be able to watch it. I'm sure he'll have something to do, that weekend because we know Franco doesn't rule with a steady pimp hand.
You know what I want to ask you, boys? You know what I want to ask you, boys? I got a question for you. What are you guys doing November 20th?
November 20th?
What are you
Giants-Eagles Sunday night game.
Okay. Well, you could still watch that. But I was curious if you had a $30 burning a hole in your pocket, and needed to spend it on November 20th at 7:30 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's Fedor Munson.
That is Fedor Munson. This is what the world has been waiting for. The Munson.
To have the whole world in your hands and then just blow it and leave me out here in the Munson?
Is that they're munching in the middle of nowhere?
Come on, to have the whole world in the palm of your hands and then just blow it.
Just blow it.
So, I can't believe that they're gonna charge people $30 for that fight. That's unbelievable. They need to just stream it online somewhere. I guess they tried to get Showtime to pick it up, but Showtime didn't want any parts of it. But I mean, anybody that really wants to see that fight bad enough to pay $30 is out in Russia. That's where the fight is, and they're probably on cable out there. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. I just read that before my internet took a shit, and I couldn't believe that they're actually charging people for that at 7:30 in the morning on Sunday, as if nobody has anything better to do. Or how do they not just put it on HDNet that night or something? Because I think this is going to be a major afterthought. Obviously Fedor had somewhat of a popular run here, of course. Then he got beat 2 times in a row. Nobody gives a shit about him. So who the hell is going to pony up $30 on a Sunday morning, especially that early, to see Fedor and Munson duke it out? And of course, Munson's been itching for this fight for 4 years now, so he's finally got it.
Yeah, I wanted to just. I'm sorry. I don't think this is an easy fight for Fedor. I really don't.
I don't either.
And I think it was a stupid fight to take because I think general consensus is he should roll Munson. But I think Styles, I think if he doesn't finish him in the first 2 minutes of that fight, it's going to be a really ugly fight. And Munson's an all-world grappler, and I don't see it being a walk in the park for Fedor. I could see him losing this fight.
I could see him losing it too. That's what I was basically asking you. I wanted to see what your opinion was, because I think after these 2 losses in a row that he's definitely stepping in with a pretty dangerous dude. Sure, on the feet, he's better than Munson, but Munson isn't a technical striker, as we saw against Cormier. And but grappling-wise, yeah, I mean, he is a pretty world-class grappler. If it goes to the ground, I think Fedor might be in trouble, and it could be 3 straight losses, and then that 3rd loss. Yeah, I know overall Munson has a really good record, 40 wins, whatever, but it's against a bunch of what people would be known as cans. So if Fedor loses a 3rd fight in a row to a guy like Jeff Munson, what happens to Fedor then? I mean, I think that's it. Fedor's gone. You're never going to hear from him again.
Yeah, they won't be able to make money off of it, and that's all they're worried about as far as his handlers and shit. So yeah, that would be it, dude. He'd be washing cars or something.
Well,
yeah, that would actually be his 4th loss in a row. He's on a 3-fight losing streak as we speak. If he loses against Munson, that's 4 in a row.
Yeah, Verdum, Bigfoot, and Hendo. So this would be number 4.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot about him losing to Verdum first. Yeah,
dude, I'm loving the chat room right now. There was just a fumble in the game, and then my brother Big Dole called whoever fumbled a pussy, and then followed up with B Brown would run into a Chilean mine if the ball went down there. And then Dominic from Eatontown follows up with he'd sacrifice his right arm a la 147 hours like that movie to get the green fuzzy ball. And then my brother, not to be outclassed like a typical Dolan, he says he would kill Michael Jackson, Conrad Murray style if he took his ball, to be topical. Just a little bit of love for the chat room. I know we haven't been shouting you guys out tonight, but we can't really fucking stand you. So that's the correlation there. But yeah, keep it humming, boys.
They're not lying. I would give up my right arm to get the football. I mean, I'm not exactly the most athletically gifted individual, but I'm fucking dedicated.
You can learn to crank it with the left.
I had to do that when I sprained my wrist. I had to wipe my ass lefty and also take care of my personal business left-handed. And I started getting used to it. I started liking it after a while. I felt like somebody else was doing it. I didn't want to go back.
Like a stranger.
Yeah, it was like, ooh. I felt like a homosexual with my left hand because I felt like I was touching somebody else.
Oh, that's hysterical, dude. Frank go whining and dying.
There's 90 seconds left. I got to do the wrap up, but real quick. Obviously, Anthony Johnson's going up to 185 to fight Belfort. Me and Dubs talked about this quickly in like 15 seconds. Who do you guys got in that fight? Anthony Johnson, Vitor Belfort in Brazil in February.
Hey, Johnson, beasting.
Stop. I got Belfort because, as I pointed out last week, I think his nickname is the Phenom, and he's going to prove it.
No, something like that's got to be true.
I think I think Belfort's going to underestimate his punching power and strength because he's a 170-pounder. He's not going to show him respect. He's going to sort of blitz Anthony Johnson. Johnson's going to be able to land a big counter and knock him out. I'm about to wrap it up. Anything that you guys wanted to add?
The one thing is, though, Nick, I'm pretty sure if Vitor has done his homework and knows Anthony Johnson walks around at 290. So I'm sure he's done these pretty
that's
powerful.
true. If you believe Goldberg, he's 315 before his cut. All right, so I just want to thank everybody for listening to the show. Go to rotoexperts.com for all your fantasy news. They have a new player database that they've been running. It's really cool. Go to the xlog.com for blog articles. Follow Roto Experts on Twitter. That's at Roto Experts. My Twitter name is nfrankrotox. Dub is Cauliflower for ear. Thanks for listening. Join us next week. We're going to be reviewing UFC on Fox and doing the picks for the upcoming Hendo versus Shogun card. Thanks for listening, guys.
Peace.